All right. Hopefully I'm back.
You're back on my side.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that was weird. OBS just randomly disconnected. My internet is all good right now. I just tested it as well. Everything's working, connecting. I just had a hiccup from OBS, I guess. Where were we? Oh yeah, the teams with the bye weeks. They are the Bills, Eagles, Rams, and Vikings. Two of those teams being flawless at this point of the season. And then let's go ahead and look at what their games are first and foremost. Let's know for the Bills. They've got a Sunday night game coming up against the Packers. Oh, that'll
Ooh.
be a good one.
Hmm.
We're also having Buffalo kind of like coming off a bye, so not only getting the rest, but also like whatever hiccups they could have had at the beginning of the season, they should have mostly figured out because of that.
I have to say, probably the Bills are going to take this one. The offense is going to be getting back into gear. I think they figure out, like you said, the hiccups they're having, and it's a defensive showing as well. Even though I know it's Aaron Rodgers, I think it's still a defensive showing nonetheless.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's gonna be a good game for the Bills. Oh, that's when people remember that how stacked their defense got over the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
All right, with the Eagles right now, they are going to be going ahead, and it's going to be a noon game for them as they face off against the Steelers at home.
I
And a
mean,
Battle of Pennsylvania.
even though they're coming off a really big win against the Dolphins on a Sunday night, I still think Philadelphia takes this one. I think the running game is going to prove to be too much for that defensive line, and Jalen Hurts will probably perform above expectations.
Yeah, I can like go with that as well. I also feel like Philly's stacked defensive, oh, not necessarily top heavy, but stacked defensive line is going to make mincemeat out of uh, whoever is trying to guard whoever's quarterback at this point for Pittsburgh.
It's fair.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and let's look at the Vikings are hosting the Cardinals.
Ooh, this is a coin flip of a game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, this is also a noon game, so we don't have to worry about Kirk Cousins with the spotlight on him.
And they're at home. I think this is going to be a high scoring affair. I think it's going to come down to probably the last 3 minutes of whichever quarterback will play better. Uh,
I'm
but
surprised.
they're still 1 week out from getting D Hop back, so I'm gonna have to give the edge to the Vikings.
Yeah, this is a game where if Hopkins was in, this would be an Arizona victory. Unfortunately, he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Minnesota coming off their bye with the rest. Oh, this next one, I was gonna be like, oh, this should be easy. It's McVay coming off of a bye, and then I saw, oh, it's against San Francisco. Shanahan has McVay's number for some reason.
Yeah, I think they're gonna try their best. They're gonna try really hard, but like you said, Shanahan has McVay's number, and I think the 49ers take this, and they prove they can still hang in their division.
And that will hand the Rams their first loss of the season, according to this. Spicy. All right, that's all the teams that have their rest advantage. Now for the teams that are on bye this week, we have the Kansas City Chiefs and the LA Chargers. And our Thursday night game this week is going to be the Ravens at Buccaneers. Oh, another good game.
Ooh.
The NFL actually got what looks to be actually good primetime games going on this season. Instead of like last year where I feel like only a quarter of them ended up being any good.
This is tough. Hmm.
Now, I did mention before Tampa Bay should be good against the run, but I just have a feeling that'll be one of those games where everyone expects Baltimore to have issues because they want to do the run, but you see them flip the switch and let Lamar go ahead and just throw and take advantage of what might end up being a weakness for the Buccaneers, which I don't know if they'll be able to cover tight ends too well.
Yeah, I definitely think if I had to put money on this game, I'd have to put on Baltimore. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people with this game and pulling back from the run, like you said, and showing they can throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, whatever it is, it'll be a fun, high-scoring game, hopefully. All right, now, oh, I've got another overseas game here with London. It is the Denver Broncos, technically at Jacksonville Jaguars. You might as well call them the London Jaguars for how often they get to go there.
This is true. They get sent over there a lot because the NFL doesn't care about them. Um,
True.
I think Denver takes it. I think it's going to be a good game for the people in attendance, but I think it's going to be just like a one-sided affair.
I don't think it'll be one-sided, just because there are
Really?
a lot of people in London generally do seem to like the Jaguars because of how often they go over there. Now, no one's going to give too much of a shit. They'll just go ahead and want to get drunk and root for what's ever going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like this is another... Just like a lot of these losses Jacksonville has had so far, Trevor Lawrence plays well. Everything else around him just doesn't work. But yeah, I say it's a Denver victory, but it's a lot closer than it would appear at first. And that'll be an oddly interesting game. This is not an interesting game. Carolina at Atlanta.
Call this. I think this will be Desmond Ritter's first start. Might as
Yeah,
well.
that would
It's a
make
home
sense.
game. The season is a wash at this point, and I think he tries his best. He tries very hard, and I want them to win so bad. But I think Carolina takes this game.
Yeah, I kind of like have to go with you on this as well. I just keep kind of like looking at that game, kind of like just for some reason remembered like a few years back. It was like the Baker Mayfield's rookie game against the Atlanta Falcons, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And just it's like, there's no way it's a complete mirror of what happened then, but yeah, I feel like the coaching staff and Baker feel a little bit more at ease with things after this week, carrying home a victory, being on a slightly inferior opponent. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead with another NFC game with the Chicago Bears at Dallas.
I think momentum is it's Dallas. I think the moment. I think you had them winning last week, right?
Yeah.
I think this is another easy win by Dallas, and people in Dallas are gonna think they're back. But I think it's just gonna be 2 easy wins in a row, and the Cowboys are gonna think they're like, it's time for that push, time for that playoff push. But I don't think it's gonna happen. They'll win, but that push is not gonna happen. There's too many better teams in the NFL currently.
Yeah, Dallas's best hope is getting in a weak division and a weak conference. Well, top-heavy conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Dallas win here. Alright, we already did the Cardinals-Vikings. So, Dolphins at Lions. How do you feel about this one?
They are in Detroit. Let's see. I honestly think, because the Dolphins are going to be coming off a loss, it's going to be surprising to them. Detroit sees them as a big opponent, and I think they hit him in the mouth one too many times. I think Detroit comes away with a surprise victory here.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I also can imagine, I can kind of see this game being one of those ones where it's a physicality that the Detroit Lions brings, just kind of like starts putting a lot of cogs in the machine that for the offense that Dolphins trying to do. It's one of those big surprises, like whenever the Titans face off against Baltimore, how Baltimore just kind of like forgets who they are a lot because they can't do exactly what they want against a tough bullying style team. This might also be an Aiden Hutchinson star kind of game. want to try to get him boosted in defensive rookie standings.
It could be true.
I feel like this can be a Detroit win. All right, now we're going to go ahead and move on to the Raiders at Saints. Two middling teams that are, one's barely in the playoffs at this point, the other is just outside.
It's tough.
This one I can go either way, honestly. Just because you never know what to make out of the Saints, and you never know which Derek Carr you're going to get.
At this point, we're halfway through the season. I honestly think this all depends on how the stars for each team are playing. Oh, I would say more along lines of how the Saints stars are playing. Is Michael Thomas back to being an elite receiver? Is Kamara having a good year? Is the offensive line holding up for Winston? And this is not like I want them to lose. I think at this point, Derek Carr is putting up numbers that are good enough to put him in a conversation for not MVP, but putting him in a conversation where he can prove to be an elite quarterback. I think his performance shines in this game, and I think they take it. But I think it's going to be at least a one-score game.
Oh, I almost put that as a tying accent, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, this does feel like another Vegas win here. Oh, hey Brian, you're a nerd too.
Hi Brian.
How are you doing? But yeah, I kind of agree with you that this is a Vegas win. Alright, our next game, I already brought up about Bill Belichick being good against quarterbacks in the first couple years in the league, and he's going against the Jets at their stadium.
Yeah, I think this is a ABC 1-2-3 type of game for Belichick. He crosses the T's, dots the I's, and they walk into New Jersey and get a win.
And the Jets are still without a win. I think Zach Wilson's getting pulled after this week now. I think they just gave up on him, or like, alright, let's look at Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. Just keep an eye on Ohio State and Alabama.
Yeah, I could see that.
Oh, sad times for the Jets. And shortly we're going to get to the other winless team. But first we have, we're going to the 4 o'clock games now, as we have the Titans going to Houston.
Ooh, Derrick Henry has had some elite games in Texas. And I think the big boy feasts once again, and they take this one very easily.
And Houston feeling okay with having one win at the start of the season, according to my predictions. Only thanks to the fact that Indianapolis can't win their Week 1 game.
Yeah.
What a curse. Alright, now we're going to go ahead with a game involving another AFC South team, as we have the Commanders at Indianapolis. Yeah, we just talked about them. Oh, we have Carson Wentz! Going back to the stadium he was at last year.
Week 8 of the 2022-2023 season. Carson Wentz has a chip on his shoulder the size of DC itself. He goes up to Indianapolis and chokes away a football game. The Colts take this one very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. God. Carson Wentz gonna be talking about chips on his shoulder the whole week beforehand, and he goes and has like a 50% completion rate and 3 interceptions.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like the this is like a Washington football team game versus the Eagles, where it's like Donovan McNabb's back in Philadelphia and he's playing against the Eagles, and it's one of the most one-sided games in like NFL history. Or I think at like halftime it was like 49-7.
God. Oh, almost as bad as a couple of years ago with the Ravens starting off the season. Lamar won MVP against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Oh, that would be a sad game for Wentz. Alright. Last season he'll be starting in a team. Unless someone gets desperate. Hey, this is a better game. No, it's not. We already did 49ers at Rams. The last of the 4 o'clock games is Giants at Seahawks.
I think we see a Seahawks victory here. I don't know why. I don't know how you could tell me what the final score could be. It could be 6-3. It could be 10-7. I see this being a low scoring affair with one touchdown score the entire game.
What an exciting game. Geno Smith versus Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes. I don't understand why there seems to be so many people who have a crush on Geno Smith just as a player. It's like he's not that good. He's not. I don't know. I don't know if it's a meme or not, but you're like, yeah, let's give them the freak victory here.
Yeah.
You have to win a game sometime. Might as well be against another bad team. We're about to talk about Bengals at Browns, Brian, because that's the last game of the schedule for this week, as it is the Monday Night Football game.
This game is gonna bother me a lot because it's a Monday Night Football game, and we're gonna be 8 of the 11 weeks during the suspension, and I think they talk about that more than they talk about the fact that the Bengals were in the Super Bowl recently. And no matter who wins this game, even though I have the Bengals winning this football game, it's gonna be uncomfortable for everyone who's not in Cleveland watching this game.
I'm really not sure, like, how home field stuff would go with the Browns this upcoming season either, because of how split the fan base got in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of fracturing that happened. A lot of people who either just left or just don't know what to do. But it's Cleveland sports. People still want to show up, and Joe Burrow still struggles against Cleveland himself. But, yikes. Alright, I feel like this is a game where this will actually be a lower scoring game, I feel like, but yeah, I can agree that it could be a Bengals victory. You have two teams that are built to be better offenses, but their defenses win it. Probably gonna be like a 14-13 kind of deal. That's it for week 8 here. Moving on to the next. Alright, the two teams that had their bye weeks were the Chiefs and Chargers, who definitely really felt like they needed the rest at that point at just kind of like get their chance to come up and breathe. And that, easiest of starts for this season, but now we go ahead and have the Kansas City Chiefs. Andy Reid, another coach who is great after a bye week, hosting the Tennessee Titans.
I can see Kansas City walking away with this. Andy Reid after a bye week is almost unstoppable because he has a week off to scheme for the next the next part of the season. I can see Derek Carr still just utterly obliterating the backfield for Kansas City, but I think Kansas City being rested, relaxed, and having the ability to play at home is going to give them the edge over the Titans on this one.
Yeah, I mentioned something. This is not just Kansas City at home after a bye. This is Kansas City at home after a bye for a Sunday night game.
Yeah. It's the most rest you can possibly get unless it's a Monday night game.
Yeah, this is a great showing out for the whole team, not just Mahomes. Travis Kelce having a career game. One of their wide receivers, maybe Juju Smith-Schuster, going ahead and have a career game. Their defense looking better than it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kansas City victory. The other, oh boy, I'm giving this to the Chargers right now. I'm sorry.
No, don't be
sorry. You don't disagree, do you?
I was gonna say, Nate, you can take this one.
Yeah, Chargers going to Atlanta. Alright, if Red is starting. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry that you have to go against that defense now.
I don't imagine whoever's in the backfield starting, we come away with a win in any way possible.
That was an easy one to go ahead and try to think up.
Yeah.
Okay. For the game teams that had like their Thursday night game the week before, we have Baltimore and Tampa Bay. Looking at Baltimore, their next game is going to be a Monday night game against the Saints. So they're coming off with 4 days of rest, 4 days of extra rest against their team. Again,
I think all the rest they're getting, and I think it's a Monday night game. I think Lamar's going to shine as bright as he can. And I think it's an easy win for them, even though they're not at home.
yeah, this is primetime game coming with all this good help they're getting. We're gonna start to hear people go back into talk about Lamar as an MVP candidate as well.
Yeah, I think this is a game that they'll use like as a focal point of like saying this is our division. It runs through us, and I think this is a game where like even though the Saints may perform well, they still just decimate.
Yeah, next up is going to be a 4 o'clock game on that time for the other Thursday team, as it is the LA Rams at Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh, this is an NFC Championship rematch.
Yeah, extra spicy.
I think the Rams defense, because even though the Buccaneers are really good, I think the Rams defense at this point has gelled to the point of like as good as it can be. I think their defense makes Tom Brady look like finally show his age. And I think the Rams come across with a win.
Yeah, I don't have anything to argue there.
Yeah.
LA will be at its fittest and best at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna really get Tom Brady's head if he really should have just stuck to retirement.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron Donald, go ahead and feast on their bad interior offensive line. Well, because of the what was it? They had to lose a couple players because of cap space or injury. Man,
I don't. I think it was cap space. If I remember correctly.
yeah, I think that's it. And they also during preseason just a couple weeks ago, lost one of their other people that was supposed to start injury.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Luckily, everything else around Tampa Bay is going to be good enough for him. But hey, this should be one we don't have to worry about too much. Just look at the Thursday night game for this week. It is Eagles at Texans.
Ooh.
Do we have Philly continue to be the only team that has a flawless record through 9 weeks?
I say so, and I think that's all they talk about all game because I don't think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot to say as well, the teams that are on bye this week are the Browns, Steelers, Broncos, Cowboys, Chiefs. Not Chiefs, the Giants, and 49ers. Oh, Giants are really going to need that. Cowboys might need it as well.
Yeah.
Alright, but yeah, with that out of the way, we're now going to go ahead and look at the Dolphins at Chicago for the Sunday noon games.
I think the Dolphins get back in the win column here.
Yeah, they can agree. They floundered too much the last couple of weeks. This grounds things up and they get a get-right game here.
Yeah.
Man, I continue to just feel bad for Justin Fields. God damn it. Oh, Chicago, why are you so sad? Alright, here it involves another sad team where it's Carolina and Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. They're at home. They're coming off a big win against a divisional opponent.
You forget, though. This is Baker Mayfield probably still going against the Bengals, and Baker owns Cincinnati.
This is true, but you also have to realize that it's a poorly coached team.
Yeah, no, it's a poorly coached team, a much worse roster than he was used to in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see the Bengals come here. Oh, hey, halfway through the season, the Bengals are only like a couple games away from hitting their over-under, and the Ravens are only a couple games from their over-under, too. Alright, enough about the betting side of things. So we have up next the Packers at Detroit.
Ooh.
This be a weird game for Aaron Rodgers. Well, that comes out of nowhere, or does he do his business like he should and get a victory.
It is in Detroit, I will say. Hmm. Damn,
Now,
this is all you. I can't decide.
I want to go ahead. I do want to give this to Green Bay, but I keep on pausing because I'm thinking about last year with Detroit, how there were teams like the Baltimore Ravens that they went toe to toe with, despite having an obviously worse roster, and only lost to because of weird flukes. Now it's Detroit, weird flukes are the norm.
This is very true.
But this Hard Knocks good vibes, all the offseason good vibes carry on somehow. In some weird, non-scientific, magical way.
Hmm. You know what? I'll give the edge to Detroit. I'll fuck it. Give it to Detroit.
Yeah, let's get wild on this one. There always needs to be some wild games no one expects. Yeah, we're giving it to Detroit here. Wow, Detroit has 4-4 now.
Yeah.
Hell yeah for them. Can't wait to hear whatever quote Dan Campbell comes up at that point. That guy should cut wrestling promos or something.
He should. He's very good at it.
Alright, now we're going to go ahead with the Raiders at Jacksonville. I want to call this a... should be an easy game for the Raiders. But because it should be an easy game, do they let their fans down?
I think they struggle heavily in this game, to be honest. I think they still win, but it's like fans of the Raiders will be very surprised that wasn't more one-sided. I could see this game coming down to at least maybe 6 points.
And you helped me decide that one, honestly. I was about ready to go ahead and just flip a coin. Just being like, okay, is this letdown Derek Carr? Is this good Derek Carr? Which one? It could still be letdown Carr with a win.
I think it's let down Carr with a win.
Yeah. Alright, here's two teams that have bad blood with each other. The Indianapolis Colts going to the New England Patriots.
Ooh, this is a rivalry that goes back to the 90s when you had fucking Tom Brady and Peyton Manning going toe-to-toe.
To the 90s?
Yeah, this is even... Actually, this predates this. It'd be Drew Bledsoe against Peyton Manning. You guys remember Drew Bledsoe? Of course you don't. I think there's going to be anger in Matt Ryan's eyes when he sees Bill Belichick, and I think he finally has a roster that could finally get that chip off his shoulder, and I think Indianapolis will walk up to Foxborough and gets this win. But he's going to need a lot of help from Jonathan Taylor in this game.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being a game with Jonathan Taylor being on offense being the key. And on defense, it's like Darius Leonard and D Ford kind of like making life hell for Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel good about giving Indianapolis that victory. Dude, the Jets finally get their first victory of the season as they're hosting the Buffalo Bills.
Is this a day game? Or is this like
It is a noon game.
I say you watch this game at home on TV, and you wonder why there's more blue and red, and then green and white. I think Buffalo takes this, and even New Jersey wonders why like there's not more fans there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jets, but the real New York team gets that win. Oh yeah, and Brian, I did see like the stuff out like the Dragonlance setting that was, the 5e version of Dragonlance setting. Yeah. Haven't checked anything out, but I'll read through that later. Alright, for our final two games to cover, both of these are the Sunday 4 o'clock games. We have Seahawks at Cardinals. Hopkins is back.
I think Hopkins being back solidifies this team as having a really good offense. I think Carolina takes this one.
Yeah. Wait, there's a new D&D edition? Oh, I didn't see anything about that. I'll definitely have to look that up. But yeah, our last game is gonna be Kirk Cousins against his former team, Washington.
Oh yeah, he did play for Washington. Something I don't think about too much. I think the Vikings easily take this one. I
Yeah.
think at this point they realize Carson Wentz was a mistake, and then they just bench him. They give Heineke just the ball and like go out there, win or lose. We don't care at this point.
Yeah, it's like, whatever. Good QB class, we'll take whoever.
Yeah.
Can we lose more games and somehow get the Jets and the Seahawks? Oh, Jets, Seahawks, and Texans to all win more?
Probably.
Yeah. This is going to be one that's heavily skewed for the away team, so we already have one that was heavily skewed for home, so I don't care.
Yeah.
The away teams are just better than the home teams for the most part, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we got a lot of teams to go ahead and look over now who gets their rest advantage. Come on. Teams coming off their bye. Let's see now. The ones that have the most obvious of the rest advantages are not really any of them. Oh, no, the 49ers are hosting the Chargers on a Sunday night game after their bye week.
Hmm. I'll call for this one being an upset alert. I say the 49ers coming off a lot of rest. They need a win right here to stay within their division because the Rams are probably not going to be slowing down for a little bit. So I think they pick up this win here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no shame for the Chargers to lose against another good team here in prime time.
Mhm.
Chargers still a really good team, still solidified in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
So, man, that's a game I want to see. God damn, there's actually good games coming this season. I can't wait for it. And then get upset when none of them turn out to be the good games.
No.
All right, but yeah, looking at the other teams coming off their bye, we can go ahead and look at the Denver Broncos going to Tennessee. This is a Sunday noon game.
Um, I'm gonna throw this one Tennessee's way. I think they could see the Colts nipping at their heels quite a bit, and they need a win. And I think there's a really big win to earn right here in beating a top divisional team. I think Derrick Henry plays like Derrick Henry, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be probably Ryan Tannehill's best game of the season.
Yeah, Tannehill playing also like even though they have a winning record and are in the lead in their division, still hearing people wondering about Malik Willis.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we're gonna go ahead and have the Browns going down to Miami with a week to prepare. I believe Stefanski is another coach. It's not as much of a record, but I believe he also has a pretty good record for the most part coming off of bye or coming off of like extra rest. And
I
this
think. Oh, go ahead.
would this be Brissett? Or, oh, there's never been a Garoppolo trade yet made, so let's just assume Brissett.
Oh, I still think Brissett or Garoppolo. I think Miami takes this one. I think Tyreek Hill's gonna have a really good game. I think Tua's gonna struggle a little bit against the pass rush, but I still think Tyreek Hill's gonna be the one, the X factor in this for helping Miami secure a win.
I disagree that this could be a Miami win.
Really?
Yeah, I don't feel like it matters too much who is the quarterback for the Browns at this point. I believe that one of the best defensive lines in football will just kind of like wreak havoc against Miami. That Tua is going to be having to throw into like try to throw to receivers who are going into matchups against one of the best defensive backfields in football, and
Mm-hmm.
that these are the Browns are a team that uses a system similar to like the Shanahan and Kubiak system, so they know exactly what to look for as well. And on offense, you got like uh, let's go it not a two-headed monster. Let's call it a Hydra at this point for the running back room that can go ahead and just stomp all over Miami.
I could see that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Miami's defensive backfield is also good too. By the way, I'm not gonna want to track from it. It's got some good, really good talent there too.
Mm.
Oh boy. But yeah, that's why I think the Browns go ahead and just lean into run game, taking advantage of better taking advantage of the weaknesses that Miami's going to be showing with their more experienced coaching staff that's able to see more. As Mike McDaniel is still kind of like rookie head coach, probably up there for one of the coaches up there for coach of the year because of how the Miami Dolphins are doing. But I want to give it to the Browns. Do you disagree? Kind of like still want to fight for Miami though.
No, I could see this. I could see this being a 50-50 game, and I think Cleveland, given the opportunity to play really good defense, will secure the victory.
All right, now we're gonna have an opposite of an interesting game here with the Texans at New York Giants.
This is gonna be my last game before I head out.
Okay.
Um, I think the Giants win this, and people are still wondering why the Giants are like, not the Giants. I think the Giants take this, but fans of the Giants are going to be upset they win this game because this is a
Yeah.
team that they need to lose to keep the number one pick, and they're going to be upset that they win. And Daniel Jones is going to be thrown in the spotlight. Like he'll have a good game, but it'll be like they'll perceive it as being bigger than it actually is. Even though if I was a Giants fan at this point, I would be very upset that they just won this football game.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you on all parts there.
Yeah.
It's
Actually,
a good New York. It's a win that a lot of players and coaching staff would be feeling happy about. The fans, like you said, upset about.
mm-hmm. Okay, I gotta head
Yeah.
out.
Thank you
Well,
for joining me for some of these games. Have a
okay.
good rest of your evening.
Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, so now we only have one other team left that is coming off of a bye week and gets that extra rest advantage there themselves. We have the Saints going over down to Pittsburgh. The Saints are going to go ahead and come marching in, and I believe that they can go ahead and do enough against Pittsburgh to still manage to get a victory. Whoever's their quarterback, most likely Jameis Winston, is gonna struggle. They're not gonna have any run game against Pittsburgh. Again, though, this is gonna be one of those low-scoring games, a bit of a slog, not fun to watch, but I give it to New Orleans here. All right, now with those teams coming up for bye weeks out of the way, we'll go ahead and look at the Thursday night game, which is the Atlanta Falcons at Carolina Panthers. Hey, you just faced each other not too long ago, didn't you? All right, teams on a bye, by the way, are the Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals, New England Patriots, and the New York Jets. Okay, yeah, the Thursday night game, the Falcons at Panthers. This will be a game. Yeah, Desmond Ritter is likely to be. I feel like to be starting at this point, and after their shilling last week, they had against the Chargers, as you can see, Ritter will be kind of like shaken up a bit, but he might still be struggling. I think you might still have like some issues going on. It's a primetime game, a Thursday game. Yeah, this is against Carolina. Yeah, I have to give it to Carolina for this victory. And I just feel like they're going to go ahead and just barely eke out a win, doing enough to scare the rookie short week primetime. Those aren't typically good for rookie QBs, I believe. If I recall correctly, I mean. Yeah. Hey, we have a first for an overseas game now coming up for the Sunday games, as this will be a Berlin game where the Seahawks get to take on Tampa Bay. And Berlin gets to watch Seattle just get destroyed. Yeah, just get destroyed by Tampa Bay. Tom Brady might be feeling a little sluggish, but out of himself here the whole way through. But I'm willing to give it to the Buccaneers in this victory, as they are the only two of these teams that is competent, and also taking this long travel overseas. But yeah, now moving on into the Sunday noon games, we got starting off, we got Vikings and Bills. Now, out of these two teams, one of them is definitely better than the other, and that is the home team here. I'm giving Buffalo. I don't think there's really going to be any bad blood of Stephon Diggs against his old team here, so I'm not going to give that storyline or anything. It's probably actually going to be a nice and fun, high-scoring game, a good offensive battle here. But in the end, I give it to Buffalo. A team that's really found themselves after their bye and remembered like what they're good at. Alright, next up we have the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears. Alright, one of these two teams is feeling in better spirits than the other here at the week 10 points in the season. And continuing to give their momentum, and yeah, I don't think, man, Chicago doesn't really have Chicago's not one of those teams that actually has an home field advantage at all. They have like a losing record at home, actually. Let's give it to Detroit, who gets a winning record now, 5-4. Wow, hell yeah, Detroit. Oh boy, hey, Aiden Hutchinson and Justin Fields. We got a former Wolverine versus a former Buckeye as the big real storyline here. As in the college side of things, those two teams are also getting ready to fight each other. But yeah, coming off of that now, we got the Jaguars at Chiefs, and there is such a low chance for Jacksonville to come out, go into Arrowhead and come out with a victory. I'm giving it to Kansas City here. You're another team really feeling better about themselves. They have a winning record. They're 6-3, and they would not make the playoffs. What the fuck? Oh, I mean, that depends on what happens with the game we're going to be getting into in a little bit here, though. But first off, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get Broncos, Titans. Yeah, we can get into Colts and Raiders now, actually. All right, looking at this matchup here, we got Indianapolis, who's fighting for a playoff position right now against the Raiders, who are fighting to keep into the playoffs. This should be a nice, fun game. This is not going to be in a state. No, this is in a stadium, so Matt Ryan can still perform well like he usually does. Now, Matt Ryan should be having some fun going against some against a Vegas Raiders team that might not have much of a pass rush, might have some issues with their defense, kind of like declining. And I feel like their offense can be limited by some stuff as well. I kind of feel like Indianapolis can march on in there and take a victory away from the Raiders, who, I guess because of tiebreakers, are only the reason why Kansas City isn't able to make it into isn't able to take their seating. All right, moving on now. We got going on to. Oh, I forgot about this team for when it comes to home rest advantage. We have the Cowboys going into Green Bay. I continue to feel like Dallas struggles against a good team with a winning record, and like they go into Green Bay and come out as a loser. America's team continues to struggle against the good teams, and they go right back into a losing record just when things seem to be on the up and up for them. Hey, good for Green Bay, who is kind of like, not looking at some embarrassing, but kind of like realizing all of a sudden Detroit is right at their heels, and it's like, what the fuck? What? Why are you back there? Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move on into the Cardinals at Rams game. Like I said before, we got Hopkins back here, but we also have like Carolina going into one of the best teams in the league. This could be a good game. I'm actually okay with saying Arizona gets a victory out of here. I feel like, uh, yeah. All right, Arizona comes in, gets themselves into an even record, and upsets the Rams, who will be likely a 4.5 point favorite. Uh, you got an away team coming in as the underdog against uh a team like that's obviously superior on paper, but I feel like there's gonna be some good game plan made by Kingsbury, and Murray's able to do enough to kind of like get get the Cardinals a victory over the Rams. At the same time, this might be one of Matt Stafford's weird games that you see him kind of like do, where he just tries to do too much even though there's no reason to. I think that'll be it. Yeah, I feel good about saying it's an Arizona victory. Now, for our last game, we got Washington going into Philadelphia for Monday night game. We got ourselves a primetime game here. Jalen Hurts, the Eagles, continuing to be the only team without a loss, and just continuing to seem like they might get further and further ahead uh, with the number one seed in the NFC. I think they're okay. Carson Wentz, as Johnny said, probably going to be benched at this point, and it's Taylor Heineke's team. And Heineke is going to go in and not deliver. I don't feel confident in him doing too much here. I feel like Philly gets the victory as well and continues their streak as the team with the best record in all of the NFL. Right, we have a heavy skimming to the home teams, which I'm okay with that at this point, though. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and look at the teams that in week 10 that are sorry week 11 now that are coming off of their bye weeks. All right, the ones coming off their bye weeks are the Jets, Patriots, Ravens, and Bengals. All right, and out of all these teams, I don't believe any of them have any extra rest advantage beyond that. It looks like Jets and Patriots are facing each other, so whatever advantage they can get out of their bye doesn't apply here. And the Jets continue to stink up the whole place, and the Patriots get an even record here as they go ahead and feel good against their divisional punching bag, or the punching bag of their division. All right. Meanwhile, with Cincinnati going into Pittsburgh, standing at 3-6 right here. This is gonna be this will be a Sunday night game as well. I believe in this game, Joe Burrow gets sacked 4 times, throws 2 interceptions, and that Joe Mixon fumbles the ball once that ends up being picked up and almost scooped in for a score. The Steelers' defense is really overperforming, really showing itself, but like their wide receiver room can go ahead and actually kind of like light up against the Bengals defense. The issue is that's not enough. I feel like Bengals. This is a weird one. This is divisional. Everything's always weird. I think Tomlin can coach up his team enough, and I feel like this is one where the Bengals don't properly get themselves ready for Pittsburgh, because I'm not really sold on Zach Taylor as a head coach. I and I just want to. They're Super Bowl runner-up. I know how weird that is to say. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl. No one really wants to think of him as a top-tier coach anymore, right? Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl. Who calls him a top tier head coach anymore? Oh, I don't know. I feel like this is actually going to be a game where the better coach wins, despite Cincinnati coming in with the better rest. And now for the other team that's coming in with better rest, we have the Ravens, who are hosting Carolina. Baker coming in and continuing to just struggle against whatever Baltimore does, and Lamar runs laps around Panthers the whole way through, getting the Ravens another victory and getting themselves firmly in place for the #1 seed in the AFC. Just half a game out from their over-under. Wow. Alright, but now looking at the teams that are on bye this week, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Seattle Seahawks. Oh, the Seahawks are loving this. A lot of issues just kind of like trying to stay relevant to any regard. I guess go ahead and sleep over as the fans are calling for Pete Carroll's removal. But now we're going to go ahead and look at the Thursday night game, which is going to be the Tennessee Titans at Green Bay Packers. And the Packers are the better team with the better quarterback for sure. But Vrabel is such a good coach too that he might keep Tennessee in the game. Derrick Henry will go ahead and kind of like, yeah, primetime game. He'll have a good game himself, but this is also Aaron Rodgers in a primetime again this season. I want to go ahead and just say that Rodgers kind of like delivers. Alright, next up we have the Chicago Bears at Atlanta Falcons. We have two bad teams here, and I feel like Chicago finally gets another victory at this point. They're not a team that's wanting to get another quarterback, and they're understand. I feel like the front office and the coaching staff probably went into the season honestly being like, yeah, we can't improve that much anyways. Let's worry about next year when we can get better draft capital and can actually afford to buy good players. So yeah, just kind of like see this as being Chicago's second win of the season. And a much needed reprieve for their fan base, even though the season's already lost for them. Alright, at the same time now we're gonna go ahead and move on down through the Sunday noon games. As we move into the Browns at Bills, this is the last game that will be the Deshaun Watson's suspension. And like that's the big headline coming into here. The Bills take the victory here, being the better team with the better quarterback at this point. Yeah, that's just plain and simple how it's gonna be. I don't see the Browns being able to win there in any way other than Myles Garrett's having a Defensive Player of the Year kind of caliber game, which he can certainly do. He's probably Myles Garrett. He's going to be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year throughout the whole season. No, he'll probably sack Josh Allen like 2 times, including a strip sack returned for a touchdown, and the Browns still lose. Continuing on, we're going to go ahead and have the Washington Commanders go ahead and head on down to Houston. And while this should be expected to be a get-right game for Washington, I feel like things aren't going too well for them. At the same time, Houston fans are going to be upset that they win this game because it cost them draft seeding. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and have the Philadelphia Eagles go down to Indianapolis. And I feel like they have the first loss of the season here. I like this kind of like setup for Indianapolis because Matt Ryan's going to be... I mean, it's good defense, Billy Scott, but he's going to be behind an offensive line that will be keeping up the whole time. He's playing at home in a dome. And I think the defense Indianapolis is going to have is going to be one that's able to kind of like actually contain Jalen Hurts and that wide receivers like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith well enough to kind of like limit whatever Philly's able to do. And Philly still has the best record in the NFL. Sorry, not NFL, in the NFC. But hey, good on you for going 10 weeks without a loss, and having to wait till week 11. All right, moving on now down to the Jets at Patriots. We already did this one. Sorry. Rams at Saints. I have to go with a better team, obviously. I'm going with LA here. It's a wake-up call for the Saints, who, after start of the season, where they're like, yeah, we really can compete for the playoffs, are now at 4-7, and things aren't looking good. They have to win the rest of their games to qualify now. They can't mess up at any point. After them, we're going to be seeing the Detroit Lions going to New York. A New York team where that might be okay with losing, honestly. With Detroit feeling better about themselves. And managing to stomp into the Big Apple and surprise everyone. Coming away looking and the playoff hunt at this point. With the 7th seed and a 6-4 record? I'm worried I'm drinking the Lions Kool-Aid right now. Damn, good on you. Good on you, Detroit, if that's the case. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move to we got a couple AFC West ups here with the Sunday 4 o'clock slot. We got the Raiders going into Denver for the first one. Alright, I think the Broncos kind of like take the... Yeah, I feel like they take the victory right here. I think this is a Denver game. Good one for Russell Wilson, and the Raiders... Yeah, I think it's a good game from the Raiders still. I think it's a good Derek Carr game, but not the best. And ultimately, Mile High is still not a great place for them. Meanwhile, with Kansas City Chiefs versus the LA Chargers, I think the Chiefs are able to... The Chiefs have a stronger fan base, let's be honest. A lot of LA games end up feeling more like away games. Chargers home games always end up feeling like they're actually away games because their fans are typically outnumbered. At the same time, I feel like Herbert lights things up still. Man, what was the Chargers game last week? It was against... Oh, it was the loss against Arizona. Yeah, I think they were able to come in over here and get the victory out. Alright, for our last of the 4 o'clock games, we have the Cowboys at Minnesota. Alright. Now, this is Dallas going against a team with a winning record at the moment. I actually think this is one where they can actually come out with the victory, where they're the ones that come out on top. Dak Prescott has a really good game. And Tony Pollard's going to be playing out of his mind as well. Going to make sure to start. If I have Tony Pollard, I'll be starting him in fantasy for sure. Yeah, I'm okay with saying Dallas is able to go into Minnesota and come out with a victory. For final game, we have another international game where it's the 49ers facing off against Arizona Cardinals in Mexico City. Saying this game is able to happen unlike the last time there was supposed to be a game in Mexico City and that got canceled because the field was shit. It was just an awful condition. I'm okay with going with like the 49ers, kind of like beating up Arizona still. Still going to be a good game with the connection between Murray and Hopkins, but not good enough for them. Now, I don't like how skewed the home teams are here, so I will actually change a couple of these up, I imagine. Alright, for starters, I will give back Bengals their victory here. Alright, so that brings it to 6 away, 8 home teams. And I'm taking the... no. I want to take the Texans' victory away. No, I don't really want to. I'm gonna go ahead and let them keep that 2 their second victory of the season at this point, since just let that skewing going on. It'll probably be more like when you look at against the spread, away teams do a lot better. Alright, now we're going into week 12. There are no teams on a bye at this point, and this is when we get to the Browns. We have to remember. Oh, yeah, 11 games. Oh, yes, they had a bye, so Watson is still out here. Just spilled water on myself. Alright, so teams coming off of a bye, we got Miami, Jacksonville, Seattle, and Tampa Bay. Alright, what's the whole situation like here at week 12, though? Boy. Do any of you have any games where there's a rest advantage, or is that rest advantage taken away from you? Alright, Dolphins are going to be playing a Sunday noon game. Jacksonville. Also a Sunday noon game. Tampa Bay and Seattle. Yeah, they don't have anything different going on, so we'll go ahead and just go with them for now. Miami Dolphins hosting hosting Houston Texans. I think Miami is able to go ahead and take advantage of their rest, and like being beat up a bit before and come away with a victory here. Kind of like beat up on a inferior opponent, and Jacksonville, despite having a rest advantage here, will not be able to overcome the Baltimore Ravens, who, after 12 weeks, already bypassed their over/under. Alright, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Browns, extra rest advantage really helps them out now. Tom Brady will... they'll scheme up ways to keep Tom Brady from being destroyed by the Browns' pass rush and come away with a victory of their own, come out and make Cleveland look like they're not going to be playoff ready themselves. Down over here when it comes to Seattle going against the Raiders. Not feeling good about Seattle's odds here either. I think Raiders come away with a victory. Derek Carr has a good game against a team he's supposed to be able to pick on. Metcalf might be on a different team at this point too. He probably is. Now we're going to Thursday games, plural, because this is Thanksgiving week. And what a lineup for Thanksgiving games we have. Starting off with Bills at Lions. Now this will be like a first game to start things off. Even though this might be the most this is the most interesting game for the whole day. You have a Lions team that's really feeling good about themselves. One game out from taking their over, by the way. Versus a Bills team that is desperate to try to take the #1 seeding in the league. Obvious. Now, as much as I'm happy for Detroit for getting 6 wins in 11 weeks for the season, I have to give the victory to Buffalo here. This isn't a tough one to think about. I believe the Bills are a far superior team with a far superior roster, and that's gonna the whole game's gonna start with a spirited effort from Detroit that doesn't really help them out too much more, as they face the wall that they can't quite overcome yet. Jared Goff has a bad game, and everyone understands QB play is Detroit's limitation. All right, after this, the next Thanksgiving game is going to be Giants at Cowboys, since Lions and Dallas always get a Thanksgiving game. All right, we got an NFC East matchup over here, and I think Dallas gets the victory. I think America's team gets to show up on America's favorite day to eat. Only one of those things is not said ironically. But yeah, after that, we're going to go with the last game for Thanksgiving Day, which is Patriots at Vikings, which is not the most fun of the games to kind of like look at. At this point of the season, looking at the predictions here, the Patriots are sitting at 5-5 and the Vikings 6-4, so they're about even standing with each other, and I think this is the standard Kirk Cousins primetime letdown, like just, well, not letdown, more like meltdown style thing, and New England's able to go into the Minnesota Dome and just come away with a victory and get a winning record. Both teams exiting at 6-5, which is only good enough for one team to still be in the playoff hunt. Alright, now that we're out of Thanksgiving, we're moving on to the Sunday noon games with the Broncos at Panthers. Denver is the superior team for sure. Carolina is still being desperate, trying to get a victory, but the desperation can only carry you so far. Denver gets the victory. Alright, now we go ahead and we're continuing down with, boy, we did Texas and Bears and Jets. Jets fans, rejoice. It took you 12 weeks, but you get your first win of the season. It's a hard fight. It does not look pretty at any stage of the game, but Joe Flacco, I think Joe Flacco, or whoever is entering the season as QB2, comes away with the first victory for you. It's neither team looks good. It's a trash game. There's barely any coverage for it. You'll almost never see it on NFL Red Zone. But hey, Jets, good job. The only time you really mention this week is we're getting that win. Alright, now we're going to go with Cincinnati Bengals at Tennessee Titans. Alright. I feel like this is a game where Tennessee is going to be able to just, because they're a more physical team and be able to bully the Bengals more, are able to manage to squeak out a victory here. They got the better coach as well. Yeah, I feel good about saying Tennessee gets this win. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and move into Atlanta versus Washington. Two teams that are fighting to be worse than each other. Oh boy, Arthur Smith is looking like he's going to be out after 2 seasons for Atlanta. Sad to see for him, but in the end, this is Washington's 3rd win of the season. I think good game for Chase Young, good game for Terry McLaurin. And yeah, that's really the big deciding factor there at that point. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and move into the Sunday noon games. Our first one up to talk about is the Chargers at Arizona Cardinals. With this, we got 2 teams that are actually really pretty good. Well, Arizona's record doesn't show it, being 5-6, but they are now a good team again with Hopkins in fold. The big issue at this point is their second half destruction that has happened with Kingsbury and Murray there. Does it continue to happen, or possibly they managed to somehow just kind of like abandon any hope for defense and are just like, yeah, we'll just slug it out and try to get a win. This is a game where there might not be a punt. And Murray and Hopkins get the victory at the end of the day. Alright, now that we're also with us being in the Sunday noon game, we have a game that I was gonna say probably should be the Sunday night game. No, Sunday night game's gonna be good too. We have the LA Rams going down to Kansas City. Alright, this is a really good one in its own right here. We got two teams that with we got a top tier roster and a top tier quarterback facing off against each other. Two really good coaches. I feel like this is a game where it's mostly going to be decided by the better team overall, despite the fact that it's going to be played at Arrowhead, and that LA comes away with their victory, and Kansas City is sitting at 6-5 all of a sudden. All right. Our last of the 4 o'clock games is going to be the New Orleans Saints going down to San Francisco. And here, I made to make my voice crack right there. Alright, but with this point here, I'm going to go ahead and believe that. I think the Saints have one of their weird upset games here, and managed to beat the 49ers. Yeah, there's not really too much reasoning beyond it other than I don't know what to think about the Saints. I just feel like this is another wild card game in that you can't really expect anything to go as expected. 49ers are the better team for sure, but this is another game where you just don't know what's going to come from Trey Lance. Saints, probably no matter who's their coach, especially the fact that it's their defensive coordinator from last season, is able to go ahead and continue getting their defense to outperform expectations according to roster structure. And they managed to do enough to contain the 49ers, who might also be coming off, who are likely to be dealing with some bad injury luck at this point too. Alright, now we're moving to the Sunday night game, which is a good one. It is a good one on paper. It's the Green Bay Packers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Two teams who are at the top of their divisions, as well as being Aaron Rodgers versus the team with the best record in the NFC at this point. Again, another Sunday night game for Aaron Rodgers. Again, this feels like the 6th primetime game he's getting too. I feel like this is a game where Green Bay is able to come on over and show that there's a chance the Eagles aren't as good as they might first appear. Yeah. I think this is a good game for Philly to come in and not coming in and lose. No, not coming in and lose. This is where they are at home but lose against one of the better, another good team. Kind of bring up questions. Maybe Philadelphia has just been picking on inferior opponents, which they have definitely been doing. Not to say Philadelphia is a bad team. They're still a good team. You want to be getting to 9-2 record out of the luck necessarily. But yeah, that only leaves one more game, the Monday night game with the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Indianapolis. Now, alright, Indianapolis is tied for their division right now, 7-4. and Steelers are looking pretty listless on the opposite end of things, sitting at 3-7. But I think the Steelers are able to go in and nah, this is a Colts victory. Steelers still not looking great right now, 3-8. Uh, gonna have to go flawless from here on out to maintain Tomlin's streak of never having a losing season. Alright, but hey, we're now 2/3 of the way through the season, and at this point, on the AFC side of things, our teams that are currently seeded for the playoffs from 1 to 7 are the Baltimore Ravens, the Denver Broncos, Buffalo Bills, Indianapolis Colts, LA Chargers, Cincinnati Bengals, and Tennessee Titans. The Ravens also have the best record in the NFL right now, and the New York Jets are tied for the worst record, as being only having one win, and that being just with this week. At the NFC, from 1 to 7 with playoff seeding, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, the LA Rams, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Green Bay Packers. And then you have the San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, and Minnesota Vikings. Vikings tied, by the way, with the Detroit Lions, who are really making the feel-good vibes from Hard Knocks. I feel like they were well-deserved. Other teams that are sitting at 6 wins and threatened to get in are, well, really just the Arizona Cardinals. And there are 2 teams standing at 1 win each here in the NFC, with the Seattle Seahawks and Atlanta Falcons. A lot of miserable-looking teams at this point, and with that, going into Week 13, we have 2 teams on a bye, no team coming off of the bye, but so the only rest advantages will be those from the Thanksgiving games, realistically. But before we really look into this too much, I'm going to go ahead and take a break real quick. See you in a second, YouTube. Alright, and I'm back now. Oh boy, here, let me get my webcam back too. Alright. So, we just kind of like left off here, going into Week 13 of football. And going into December football, so we need to go ahead and take into account cold weather games now too, which will always change how things are played. By the way, as Belichick says, the season doesn't start till after Thanksgiving. Alright, and now speaking of which, I draw some frames at some point. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and actually look into the teams that are coming off of Thanksgiving games. By the way, on the bye right now are the Panthers and the Cardinals. Getting a late bye, which is good for them. Probably feeling pretty tired at this point. Yeah, only 26 frames, Brian. Don't worry. I don't want to worry either. So what happened at the beginning of the stream, after all? Anywho, first off, we'll be looking at we got the Bills, Lions, Giants, Cowboys, Patriots, and Vikings. Coming off those Thursday games for the Bills, they don't really get a rest advantage because they're going to the Thursday night game. Same with the Patriots, so neither team get the rest advantage. Okay, so that leaves the Lions, Giants, Cowboys, Vikings. Okay, Lions are a Sunday noon game. The Cowboys are a Sunday game, so they actually do get extra rest. And for the Giants and Vikings, they are also just Sunday noon games. So the team we'll go ahead and start off with is the Sunday night game. Indianapolis Colts going to Dallas to go ahead and both teams kind of like trying to go ahead and stand up, being like the better team, try to secure a spot here in the playoffs and secure a space in the playoffs. I mean, and at this point, I feel like even with like extra rest to go on. So now the Colts actually have less rest because wow. Because the Colts played the previous Monday night game, that means coming into Sunday night, the Cowboys are actually having 5 extra days to prepare. It's almost like a bye week for them. So I was gonna be like, yeah, no, the Colts are an actually good team. Dallas is gonna struggle. They could still struggle, but I feel like with all that extra rest and by having a good enough roster to go by, the Cowboys can actually come out with the victory here on Sunday night. Now, for the other teams, like I mentioned, we're going to go ahead not talk about the Bills or Patriots because of them being like the Thursday game, next Thursday game, but looking at the boy, who else did I say? Lions, Giants, and Vikings. Yeah, they're all Sunday games. All right, the Lions are going to be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, and despite being in playoffs seating right now, kind of like ready for things, I think this is a game where Jacksonville is able to come out and actually secure a victory and kind of like shock people who were really getting into the mood and for Detroit, really kind of like amped up for the Lions. Trevor Lawrence gonna go ahead and have a good game of his own here. Kind of like start show people, like remind people why he was the #1 overall draft pick. Okay, for the Vikings, we're gonna have them hosting the Jets, and unfortunately, this is Jets. You had your feel good time last time, but Minnesota's gonna beat you at home. They had enough issues before; they're not ready to go ahead and keep that up. They want to stay in the playoff race. Back at home, they're in a dome, though, so can't really say cold weather for them. That's gonna factor in too much. It is gonna be cold weather for Detroit, but Jacksonville has a good running back field that they're gonna be able to rely on too if it gets too cold up there. Alright, and for the last of the teams that were Thanksgiving that actually have a rest advantage are the New York Giants, who are going to be hosting against the Washington Commanders. And I think both teams are going to be ending here at 3-10, as New York carries away a victory. Oh, sorry, not 3-10, but 3 wins. Commanders have no in-division victories yet. Well, surprising enough. But now that we're done with those teams that actually get a rest advantage, we'll move on to 2 teams that lost what could have been a rest advantage at this point, with the Bills at Patriots. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and just say that this is a game where Buffalo managed to get another victory here. The Patriots are going to hit another wall as they're unable to overcome a true Super Bowl contending roster against with their roster that's kind of isn't amazing. It's not bad, it's just not good. It's middle of the line, you know. They might have the better coach, but that's not going to be good for them either. Next up, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers going down to Atlanta to make hell for that team there. And good job for the Steelers on managing to do so and take a victory away. Get yourselves to 4 wins here. Push Atlanta down to staying at 1-12. Atlanta, so tired, so ready to throw in the towel that they need their bye week. They need that bye week to go ahead and just have get like some mental reset, well, mental and physical reset. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and have Denver going over to Baltimore, and I feel like the 2 really good quarterbacks, 2 good rosters. I'm giving it to the one that is more firmly in the MVP race right now, with Lamar Jackson getting Ravens their 11th victory of the season. Wait, 1 loss. It'll be a hard-fought game, a very nice and close one, but yeah, Ravens take it here. All right, after that, we're going to go ahead and have the Packers go into Chicago. And as usual, Aaron Rodgers is going to just kind of like make Chicago his team. And give the Bears their 11th loss of the season. Alright, now this is the game where Deshaun Watson returns from his suspension. And with that, he's going to not do too much, but enough that the Browns managed to beat the Houston Texans and come away with an even record, and gonna need to be flawless to make it into the playoffs now, which is gonna be an issue. The next game up, we did Jets and Vikings and Commanders and Giants, so Titans at Eagles. Alright, this is another one where I feel like Philadelphia might struggle. I think the Titans can do enough to go ahead and pull out a victory. I think they're going to go ahead and bully Jalen Hurts the whole game and force him to make mistakes, and that's going to be an issue for Philly as they drop out of their number one seeding. They possibly drop out of their number one seeding and still have their division well within grasp, but oh boy, you didn't want to see Jalen Hurts make that kind of game there. Alright, now moving into the Sunday 4 o'clock games, we have Seahawks at Rams. Now, I know this is a game where LA... But what is the next game for LA? It's the Raiders. If it's a tough team, I'd have this as a potential trap game. But I have to imagine the Rams just carry on with business and manage to pull a victory out over here and do, in fact, get the number one seeding now, after a couple bad weeks from the Eagles in a row. Alright, after this point, we're going to go ahead and now get to the Dolphins at 49ers. We're going to go ahead and have Mike McDaniels versus his former boss, and Kyle Shanahan when it comes to coaching. I believe the San Francisco 49ers are the superior team by all means, and they should feel that way and look that way as they managed to get a victory here. And the Dolphins are now looking at 7-5 and just barely out of the playoff hunt themselves, still well within, still fighting and clawing their way to a spot. But yeah, that's a 49ers victory here. Next up are the Chiefs at Bengals, a rematch of AFC playoff game last year. I think this is a game where Kansas City is able to kind of like roll in. They desperately need to win. Despite now being at 7-5, they aren't really in the playoff hunt, and it's going to be a big effort to get back in. But yeah, they come away with the victory coming in with Mahomes outperforming Burrow. Just barely though. Should be a good game. Should be another good game. But the other game we have is an AFC West matchup here with the Chargers taking on the Raiders. I believe in like the Chargers being the team that comes in with the victory here. And oh well, that pushes the Raiders out of the playoff hunt, and now the AFC West is 2 9-3 teams and 2 7-5 teams. All of their teams have a winning record. That is a good division there. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and go into the Monday night game, the last remaining game here. It is the New Orleans Saints versus Tampa Bay. I think this is a game where the Saints get to be a thorn in the side for Tampa because Tom Brady has weird issues with with that team. It's weird. The Saints have always beat Tom Brady and Tampa Bay, even though they never should have. It feels like. I think that's gonna continue on with the Saints snatching a victory here, despite all the reasons why they shouldn't. But yeah, here we are now with Week 14. The two teams coming off of a bye are the Cardinals and Panthers. The Cardinals get an extra day of rest as well, as they're going to be hosting the Patriots for the Monday night game. And I find that to be enough to go ahead and give them an edge here. an edge that can actually get them the victory and get them back into a winning record. And just potentially just outside the playoff hunt, depending on how things go for the games prior to here. The other game is going to be the Carolina Panthers versus the Seattle Seahawks. And we have a thing of like a team having to cross a couple different time zones here at this point too. And with that, I'm okay with saying that even with the extra rest, the Seahawks surprise and get a victory of their own at this point. It's not going to be a great game. It's going to be not one that's televised much or that gets a lot of traction, but it'll be the Seattle Seahawks' second victory of the season. Now for the teams that have their bye weeks themselves this week, we have the Indianapolis Colts, Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, Atlanta Falcons, New Orleans Saints, and the Washington Commanders, all of whom are thankful to finally be able to rest. There are no more bye weeks after this. This is the final time any team gets bye week, and it's going to be really needed. Goddamn. Alright, the Thursday night game at this point is going to be the Vegas Raiders versus the LA Rams. Alright, Derek Carr can actually is different from Kirk Cousins in that he can actually perform well on primetime games, so I feel like he'll get an elevated performance here. But I don't know if it'll be enough to beat LA. And I think they can go ahead and keep a victory up against a nice and scrappy team, but one that is unfortunately just not quite able to compete. Now, going to an AFC East matchup right here, we have the Jets going into Buffalo. And at this point, Buffalo should still be able to win. I don't feel good about the Jets' chances at all. I think this is a Bills victory at this point. Next up, we have the Browns going to the Bengals. Alright, this is the second Watson game. He'll be more warmed up and ready to go and fight, and this is a better powered Cleveland team who's able to go ahead and come in and ruin Cincinnati's day and start kind of like dangling onto the Bengals' legs, getting ready to pull them down to their level in hopes of climbing up in their spot in the rankings. Meanwhile, we have the two Texas teams going ahead and fighting each other. Guess what? Oddly enough, the Texans have a better playoff record in this last decade than Dallas does. Oh, this last decade, not just like the 2020s. But yeah, that's not going to hold up here, though, because Dallas should and will beat up on a bad Houston team and get an 8-5 in record. Look okay for the playoffs. Look close to being able to secure a winning record. Alright, and then we're going to be going ahead and now looking at the Vikings at Lions. Alright, cold weather game. This is the Vikings having to go ahead into Detroit now. Both teams actually... Oh, the Vikings actually have a good run game because of Dalvin Cook. And like using a more open system that we can expect from them, they could actually go ahead and make things kind of painful for Detroit. And I think it's going to be another thing where it's all about the QB play. And that's why Minnesota gets a victory right here. The Lions playing close and looking very close to getting the victory and spoiling things for the Vikings too, by the way. Alright, for an NFC East matchup, we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. And I think the Eagles kind of like fix themselves up around here and managed to get a surprisingly hard-fought victory against New York, but get a victory nonetheless. And people are going to be mostly talking about at this point how Dayball and the new GM were set up to fail by the previous regimes. And this is a roster that was never going to be able to compete. Alright, and going out to the other Sunday noon games here for Week 14, we have Ravens and Steelers. I think the Steelers could potentially play upset here. I think they actually do have a good shot at that. But the Ravens are really up there right now, really feeling good. And they need to make sure to secure their spot with the #1 seed right now. And they get their victory against Pittsburgh. And the Steelers will officially not be able to have their first winning record. The first winning record under Tomlin. Or at least this will be their first losing season under Tomlin. Alright, for the last of these Sunday noon games, we have Jacksonville and Tennessee Titans. And here we have a surprise happening as Trevor Lawrence finally goes ahead and has the Jacksonville Jaguars beat another divisional opponent and do an upset alert against Tennessee. Jacksonville should be feeling more in the groove at this point. They're truly seeing the most out of their hopeful future franchise quarterback, and hey, that's good enough for them. Meanwhile, we have the we're going into the 4 o'clock games now, I believe. Yeah, with Dolphins at Chargers, two teams that had some really good uniforms back in the day. Luckily, at least the Chargers are having their powder blues going on. And I think the Chargers at home are able to beat the Dolphins here. I just think like they're such a better team that they... yeah. I mean, hey, Miami, you're seeing what you can actually get from Tua. You just need to continue to build even more around. Good job. Tua looks good in this system that's being put around him. That's your happiest point right now, but... for the last of the Sunday 4 o'clock games, we have the Buccaneers at 49ers. I'm going to go ahead with the home team on this one. I think Tom Brady struggles against the pass rush, and that causes like the rest of the team to begin to kind of like crumble around. They're not quite able to handle the abilities that of the quarterback abilities they're facing off against with Trey Lance, and Shanahan gets a victory, and the Niners secure a winning record. For the final game of this week, we're going to be looking at the Sunday night game, which should be a good one, with the Chiefs at Broncos. The Chiefs are just out of the playoffs at this point, and they are hurting. They need this victory badly, but the Broncos also know that if they drop here, they risk kind of like being up. They're kind of like at a risky point for their season as well. They need to go ahead and do whatever. They need to fight however they can to try to get a victory and continue to be tied with the Chargers here, but Kansas City is able to go in and beat them here and get themselves back into the playoff hunt as well. Alright, week 15 here. We're coming near to the end of the season, by the way. Alright, the teams that are coming off their bye, by the way, as mentioned a few minutes ago, are the Falcons, Bears, Packers, Colts, Saints, and Commanders. And the Thursday night games were was Raiders and Rams. So there's a lot of teams with rest we're going to be looking at right now. Let's see now okay, for the Falcons, Bears... okay, Falcons and Saints are facing off against each other, so extra rest from bye is eliminated on those spots. Okay, we have what is Colts at Vikings. That'll be Sunday noon game. Sent Commanders also noon game. Bears and Giants. Yeah, neither of them's going to be likely to get any extra rest. So, other extra rest. So we'll go ahead and just handle every team coming off of the bye except for the NFC South matchup. Starting with the Colts versus the Vikings. Uh, right. Matt Ryan doesn't have to worry about going into a dome. Doesn't have to worry about not playing in a dome right now. So the Indianapolis Colts were able to get a victory over here with their extra rest. Frank Reich being happy to have that as well. How much? Oh, there are 18. There's gonna be 18 weeks in the season, and I'll likely be able to get into the playoffs as well, Brian. Yeah, but yeah, Kirk Cousins does what he can. He actually does look good in this game, but I think it's gonna be an Indianapolis Colts victory here. The Giants at Commanders. This is now where we're gonna be looking at getting the draft order thing open up so we can keep track of who has what. Alright, Giants Commanders are right next to each other in draft order, by the way. So they're going to be fighting for position at this point. I think the Giants will be smarter about that and okay with taking their time. They want to get some ferocity out their team, but Washington, with the extra rest as well as probably not being run as smartly, will take the victory. Alright, with the Eagles going against Chicago right now, even with the extra rest, I believe this is a Philadelphia victory right here. Oh, Rams at Packers is Monday night game. Why did I not read that? And this is a good primetime game. And it's yet another Aaron Rodgers primetime game. What the what the hell? He gets so many of them. Wow. Alright, with that though, we're going to go ahead and see the Rams take another loss here. The extra rest is much needed for the Packers, who feel a lot better and healthier now, and are able to go ahead and get an elite level game play from Aaron Rodgers, who takes the victory here. And the Rams lose the number 1 seeding in the process to the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, looking at the teams coming off their Thursday night, we have the 49ers going into Seattle. Yeah, this ain't a tough victory, as the 49ers go ahead and take it. And look like they should make it into the playoffs. It'll be a disaster if they don't. Excuse me. Now we're going to be looking at there will be 2 Saturday games at this week 2. And out of the potential games there could be for that, I believe the best ones are going to be the best matchups possible at this point are going to be 2 divisional matchups with the Dolphins at Bills and the Ravens at Browns. Just because they'll be the juiciest ones. There's not a lot of good noon games to pick from. Alright, over here with the Dolphins and Bills. First off, I can see the Dolphins kind of like coming in to Buffalo, but I think this will be a cold weather game. It's going to be an issue for Tua, who's not quite used to that. Not great. Well, Miami, all the players there are not going to be too excited to go up to Buffalo during a time of the year where there's probably going to be snow on the ground. It'll be a game that's more about the running game. And the only real running game involved on this is going to be Josh Allen. And the Bills get their victory here. Get another victory here. Alright, now for the Ravens at Browns. This is a game where you have 2 teams who are playing at high levels and actually really good against each other. And despite this, I think, despite how much more talent Cleveland has, I think Baltimore still gets the victory here. Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with saying, like, Baltimore gets a victory over the Cleveland Browns in their final game against each other for the season. Baltimore looking really good. Not too many more games left in the season. There's a good chance they rest their starters. at some point too. All right, now we're going into the expected Sunday noon games. Since we got through the expected Saturday games, we are going to start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Carolina Panthers. I think the team that is better coached is going to win this, which is why I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers take a victory right here. Now, they feel like they've been very big letdown because they didn't really perform to their own expectations, being such a proud, historic franchise. But hey, you get an easy victory against a team that's not as good as you. That's really all you can ask for. All right, next up, we're going to be looking at the... Okay, we got Eagles at Bears, Chiefs at Texans. This won't be a difficult game for Kansas City at all. They take a victory at this spot, stand at 9-5. Congrats, you secured a winning record at this point. All right, after that, we're going to... A winning record, but one loss could take you out of the playoffs, honestly. After them, we got Cowboys at Jaguars, and we're being a little spicy here because I think Dallas gets unexpectedly walloped in the face by Jacksonville. And it's not going against a better team, it's going against a worse team, but still losing somehow. Might be better coaching because Doug Peterson is a better coach than, probably a better coach than Mike McCarthy, but yeah, that's just how I'm feeling at this point. Our next one up on the list is the Detroit Lions at New York Jets. And I am sorry to the Jets because I am giving this victory to the Lions here, who are back at an even record and pass the over for their season total, according to Vegas odds. Hey, good job for you. Detroit, you already had a victorious season just because of that. Although you're not going to be able to draft one of the expected top tier quarterbacks. Now, right now you'd be drafting a 13. Wow, that's actually good enough to still get one or trade up for one. All right, after that, oh yeah, they actually have good draft capital because of the Matt Stafford trade. I forgot. Anyway, after that, let's now do we do Colts at Vikings? Yeah, we did already. Falcons at Saints. Yeah, the game where both teams are coming off of their bye week against each other. And I think Atlanta goes ahead and kind of screws with their draft position right here and accidents their way into a victory. I just feel like somehow Desmond Ridder actually has a good game here against like the Saints. This would be a surprise for a lot of people, and like a question of like maybe he actually is legit. Maybe he is a good quarterback to kind of like keep around. Yeah, that's just how I'm feeling about that right now. Alright, and we already did Giants and Commanders, didn't we? Yeah, but the Commanders getting a win. So now we're going into the Sunday 4 o'clock games now. The first one up on the slot is going to be Cardinals at Broncos. And I have a feeling like Carolina can go ahead and make a surprise out of things. They're going against Russell Wilson, who they're used to seeing. And I think that they can actually manage to secure a victory here against Denver, which is a big shock to them. No, actually, no, I give that to Denver. This is a cold weather game. It's going to be more predicated on a run game, but... I'm switching up. I'm giving it to Denver, actually. Thinking over it again, like, yeah, no, I think this cold weather game, high up in the... high up, like, mile high. Yeah, Russell Wilson's also used to seeing Arizona, knows what to expect from there. Yeah, this is a Denver victory, I believe. Alright, now we got, for the next one up, we got Titans and Chargers. This is a game against, at the moment, two playoff caliber teams, but unfortunately for the Titans, I just don't see them overcoming the Chargers here, and that is a bad one for Tennessee, who would now be out of the playoff spot. Outside of that, now we're going into the Cincinnati Bengals, who are facing off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers have a firm grasp of their division right now, and might not have to worry about that being taken away from them, but well, 8-5, what a surprising record. Bengals are just barely hanging on themselves. Both teams are at 8-5. This is a I can't believe we're actually seeing these two teams face off against each other. This is going to be should be a good and fun game. And okay. None of these teams are going to be really more rested than the other. I think this is a game where Tampa Bay comes out with a victory in the end. Better experience with a lot of things. Kind of like I just have to trust Tom Brady to get the victory here and secure Tampa Bay a winning season, and that boots the Bengals out of the playoff race for now. And now we go to the last game to cover, the Sunday night football game with the New England Patriots at the Raiders. A 7-6 team and a 6-7 team. The Raiders are unlikely to make it into the playoffs unless things go well for them, but that's even more so for the Patriots. And I just have a feeling like New England. That's also going to be Bill Belichick versus one of his former disciples, and his former disciples have a winning seem to have like a winning record against them somehow. I'm giving this to the Raiders right here. Alright, moving on to Week 16. There are no more bye weeks as mentioned before. Our current draft order has the Jets and Falcons, Bears, Texans, and then Seahawks for the top 5 picks, by the way. But here in Week 16, our teams coming off the Thursday night games are the 49ers and Seahawks, who get the extra rest over teams. And neither one is going to get really a whole lot of proper extra rest either. So we'll go ahead and cover both of them right now. The 49ers, I believe, are going to... Oh yeah, this is also going to be a weird week, by the way. This is Christmas week of football. But it's also because Christmas is going to be on a Sunday. And for that Saturday, it's going to be... the Saturday is when they're going to be having the games. So there's even more weirdness going on. You got Christmas games as well as Thursday night game, but wow, this is a weird one. Alright, 49ers and Seahawks. 49ers are going to be playing against the Commanders, hosting the Commanders for one of the 4 o'clock games. I think the 49ers should be able to get the victory without too much of a hassle here. It's Shanahan against one of the teams that spurned him. So, wow, 11-4 record so far with a second-year quarterback. Wow. Amazing. Goddamn. And the other team is the Seahawks, who are going to be doing a 4 o'clock game, going to Kansas City against a Chiefs team trying to stay in the playoff race, who managed to get another victory right here. Alright, outside of that, now we're looking at the Thursday night game for this week, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the New York Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to finish with only one win, and that's purely the reason why I'm giving them the victory right here. Just to make sure that they have at least 2 wins, honestly. Took them so long into the season, but finally you got 2 wins. Gonna be bad for that coaching staff when they have to get shaken up as well. But that's just the shit side of the NFL, I guess. Alright, meanwhile, we're going into the Saturday games now, starting with the noon slot, where we have the Falcons going to the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see now. Next week for the Ravens, who are they playing against? They are hosting divisional opponents. So there's not going to be really an overlook in potential trap game necessarily right here. So I have to imagine Baltimore gets the win, and looks like they should secure the #1 seed at this point. And week 17 will be the last time they play their starters. Alright, after that, we have the Lions going down to Carolina. And with this, the Lions don't secure a winning season, but they get a winning record as they go 8-7 now, beating up the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, I feel good about that one. All right, our next game is going to be the Buffalo Bills, who are going against going to Chicago. This is a Bills victory. They're just simply a much better team. They have a lot more to fight for right now, for like playoff seeding, trying to get in. But yeah, looking at the other game that's happening at their same slot there, you'll see that response to go, fuck. And Buffalo might be done playing their starters now just because they would secure their they already have their division secured, and they can't get the #1 seed, so there's not really too much more for them to play for after this. Alright, the Saints are going to go ahead and visit the Browns. Cleveland can't get a winning season, but they need to still play hard, and I think they get a victory here. They're just gunning for these 10-7. 10-7 with Broncos and Chiefs losing. Sorry, Broncos, Chiefs, and Titans losing might be what they need. Oh, and Bengals losing out. And Raiders losing out, honestly. Yeah, they have a chance still for the playoffs, so they'll play harder than the Saints, who are out of it. Hey, 6-9 for the Saints too, by the way. Nice. Alright, now we got the Seahawks going to Kansas City, and this is... Oh, no, we already got that. Never mind. Giants at Vikings? Yeah, we haven't got that one covered yet. Alright, this is, should be a Vikings victory right here. Like, I already said it. Giants, like the front office, the coaching staff, like, okay, we can just kind of, like, go through the motion right now. Still play hard enough to go ahead and make what we can with this team, but we're okay with getting a high draft pick to try to ensure a better quarterback, or do our damnedest to ensure one. Should jump up to be an actually good team next year. Hey, look out for the 2023 Giants. Alright, now we're gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals versus the New England Patriots. Alright, the Patriots are well out of playoff race right now. They don't really have too much to fight for other than playing spoiler ball right now. And kind of like try to make the most out of what they've got. And because of that, for now, I'll have them manage to beat the Bengals at home. But I might change that when I'm done with the rest of these games, and because I'm not too confident in that one. Alright, and the last of the games for this slot is going to be the Texans going to Tennessee. And I feel like the Titans managed to get the victory right here from Houston. Still stay with they secure a winning record and get to be at 9-6. Yeah, that's not going to be too great for them though, because they know there's a lot of teams hot on their heels. Next up, we got the Washington Commanders and the San Francisco 49ers going to the 4 o'clock game. So we already did that. Never mind. Actually, no, the other 4 o'clock game. The Philadelphia Eagles at Dallas Cowboys. We got a true divisional rivalry right now. The Eagles are trying to fight to keep the #1 seeding, while the Dallas Cowboys are fighting to be in the playoffs. And I think the Eagles come away with the victory. I think they kind of don't necessarily bully Dallas. I think it's a kind of tough, nail biter kind of game between two divisional opponents, but Philly comes away with the victory, and Cowboys are just a middling team. They secured their spot as just being middling. Ooh. Sorry about that. Throat was starting to hurt. Alright, now we're going to our Saturday night game, our Christmas Eve game. Christmas Eve night game with the Raiders at Steelers. Alright, the Raiders are a team trying to get themselves in the playoff race. They are desperate. One mistake, and they are out. And they get that mistake right here with the Steelers playing spoiler ball. Alright, next up after this we go into our Christmas games. The actual Sunday games. Where we're going to start with the Packers at Dolphins. Yet another big game for Aaron Rodgers to be in the spotlight. Now, it'd be preferable for this to be at Lambeau, honestly, just because Christmas game at Lambeau in the snow is a classic football setting. But the Packers won't need that to come in and take a victory away from Miami. Alright, after this, we're going to go ahead and now look at the... We do Broncos at Rams? No, we haven't done that yet. Alright, Russell Wilson versus the LA Rams. This will be a hell of a time. And I think this is a Rams victory. Two very tough teams, but the issue is that you have the more experienced coaching staff on one side, and Russell Wilson and the Broncos roster can only do so much. They still need to actually... Yeah, it's a tough one. Broncos trying to fight for winning the division and come up empty at this point, because the Rams are also trying to get the #1 seed, as well as stay over the 49ers. And for the Christmas night game, we have Tampa Bay going to Arizona. Not much of a Christmas setting, or classical kind of setting you might imagine, but I think over here, the Cardinals fall short, and Tampa Bay walks away with a win. Alright, that leaves our last game for the season, with the Chargers going into Indianapolis. Monday Night Football, Justin Herbert lights things up. And with that, the AFC South is two teams at 9-6, but only because of tiebreakers. That's an issue of one actually being the leader, the other not. Wow, that's gonna be a tough battle with another right there. And now we're at the second to last season here. The Ravens might actually be resting their starters when we get into things. I don't know if they actually will be playing any players because I think they can lose out. And you know what? Just to see, let's have the Chargers win out and Ravens lose out just to see what that looks like. Okay, Chargers still can take the lead. Okay. Uh, so the Ravens will have this one game to be the one where they actually try to get a victory. The last one that they have their starters out. Only having one loss the whole season to this point. Alright, but we're going to be looking at the Jaguars and Jets first because they get some extra games. They get a few days of extra rest coming off of the Thursday game. For the two of them, there's no extra. None of them are going to be doing a Monday night game, or there's no weirdness doing another Thursday game. And we have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Houston, and I think the Jaguars are able to beat their worst divisional foe and come away with a victory right here, get up to 6 wins. I'll get something up right here too. Just to compare later when I'm done with the records and everything. Alright, now for the Jets, they are going to go into Seattle. And I think the Jets are the better team in this case and managed to come away with a victory despite it hurting their draft positioning right here. Now I feel like they actually oddly enough would be more spirited, and like Seattle will be in really bad, just have bad mojo. That's not scientific at all. I just feel like the Jets will be somehow have more fight in them than Seattle will at this point. Alright, now that means we're going into the actual Thursday game this week, where we have the Cowboys and Titans. Cowboys fighting to stay as a playoff team. Titans fighting to win their division. And I feel like this is... Oh man, this is another tough one to kind of like think about. Both teams are really having a lot to kind of like compete over. There's a lot of stakes. Like the Titans might be out of the playoff race completely if they lose this game. They might not be able to get in. That is how much that means for them. Whereas the Cowboys are desperate to keep themselves in the playoffs. Two teams doing their best to get in. I think I'll go with the coaching staff I believe in more. And I think this is... Yeah, I think this is going to be a Tennessee game here. I think this is a game for the Titans to win. I think Dak Prescott's going to be looking a lot better. And like you think the Cowboys should be the better team here, but I think Tennessee comes away with the victory in the end. Alright, now going into the Sunday noon games, we're going to start off with the Cardinals at Falcons. This game the Cardinals should win at. They surprisingly have the chance to make it into the playoffs. They got an even record right now. So it's going to be do or die for them in the final week, when they're going to have to put in more effort than they have all season. Somehow go 120%. Oh, hey, right now the Lions will be in the playoffs. Wow. Alright, next up, we're going to be looking at the Steelers at Ravens. There is an upset here, as the Steelers bullshit their way into making things a mess for Baltimore. But Baltimore might go ahead and be okay with that depending on how things go in this week. looking at some of the other matchups. Alright, Baltimore has long won their division. There was no worry about them for that. It's this #1 seed they're competing for. Now on the other side, now going to another game, we're going to, yeah, we just mentioned the Lions. We're going to Chicago Bears at Detroit. And despite it being a Detroit game, I'm gonna go ahead and say the Bears managed to get a victory over here. They get their first victory within the division, but the Lions have really won people's hearts. Wow. Yeah, the Lions exceeded expectations already. Congratulations to them. They are one of 3 teams at 8-8 and just on the outside of the playoffs. Alright, now... okay, now after them, we're going to look at the Jacksonville Jaguars going back to the Texans and continuing to bully an inferior team. No, we already looked at that. Damn it, that's why they're at 6-10. Alright, we're actually looking at Broncos at Chiefs right now. Both of them have the same record. And both of them know that the only way to secure a playoff spot is to win. They can't win the division. Oh, it'll be hard-pressed to win the division. So they're going to both be putting their all. Both of them have Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Both of them have like the Chiefs definitely have a damn good coach with them. I'll give this to the Chiefs. I'll give this to Kansas City. I feel like Kansas City secures their spot in the playoffs now. And they are potentially 1 week away from winning their division. Although who knows how much that really matters to them, since they definitely can't win the #1 seed. It is well out of reach for them. Alright, now continuing to the next game, we're going to be looking at the Dolphins at Patriots. An in-division matchup, and whoever loses this is the one that gets a losing record this season. And I think Miami gets the win. I think Miami is the better team, and kind of like is able to do enough creativity to kind of like work around the Patriots defense, work around the Patriots team as a whole, and be 1 win away from well, they're not going to the playoffs, but a winning record is better than anything else right now. And the Patriots will be going into next week without anything to play for, honestly. Other than, Belichick being proud, which he probably will actually let them compete still. Number 11's... Yeah, no, there's nothing else there. Our next game is going to be the Colts at Giants, and this should be an Indianapolis victory. They're still staying there with Tennessee, still trying to get that win right there and go into the playoffs. So not much more to say there. The Saints are now going to be going into Philly, and this is dangerous territory for Philadelphia. Holding the #1 seed, the last thing you'd want is an upset. And they avoid that, luckily. They managed to somehow not get taken down at this point and hold on with a 13-win record at this point. And our next game here for the 4 o'clock slate is an NFC South matchup with the Carolina Panthers going down to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has won their division, cannot get the #1 seed. So they're okay with kind of just phoning it in and letting things go. And that's why Carolina gets a victory right here, to the detriment of their draft positioning. All right, our next team up, our last team to look at for the noon games is going to be Cleveland Browns going to Washington Commanders, and this should be a game that Cleveland wins. They secure a winning record and are potentially one win away from the playoffs. Got a lot to play for sure. All right, we're not going to be looking at the 49ers at Raiders. The Raiders are desperate to try to get into the playoffs themselves right now, but the 49ers are desperate to win their division and hope that the Rams mess up in the game later today. And luckily, oh, good for them, the 49ers beats the team that left California. Yeah, I feel good about that spot. Okay. And with that, we now go out to Jets and Seahawks. We already got that figured out. Our last for the 4 o'clock games is going to be Vikings at Packers. And the Packers really just need to get this win to make sure they win their division, and they'll rest their people next week, as they don't have anything to worry about, so that's all they care about. And they managed to get the victory in that regards over the Vikings. Wait, are we missing a team? Well, I'm just looking at things right now. Our away games we got so far. Oh yeah, there's 2 teams I didn't get yet. Our Sunday night and Monday night games. Okay, for Sunday night we're now going to the Rams at Chargers. A battle of LA to cap off near the end of the season. The last of the true primetime games going on right now. Alright, these teams have the same record right now, but are fighting for different things. The Chargers would need to win this week and the next week as well, and hope the Ravens lose. I believe that'll be the only way they can get the number 1 seed. Whereas the Rams need to win 2 in a row, with the Eagles losing once. Maybe not even needing to lose at all. Maybe even tie 14-3 and still get the number 1 seed. So there's a lot to fight right here. This will be a damn good game where it's just a big battle between both sides. And I'll go ahead and give the advantage to the Chargers right here, because we're having an MVP competition that is going to be at this point most likely just between Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert. I feel like those two are like the only real teams competing. Alright, after that we have the Buffalo Bills going to Cincinnati, trying to get things going as well. And I'm going to go ahead and... I'll give the victory here to the Bills, but I'll change an away team couple away teams elsewhere to be the losers, actually. Give the victory to some home teams just to make this look less skewed. Alright. I feel like the Buccaneers get this victory after all. Is there anyone else I'd like to take the victory from, move it from one side to the other? And I'll actually take the victory from the Jets and give it to the Seahawks. I just feel better about... Oh, so now it's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that just looks... Now we can still keep that to the Jets. I just feel like they're going to be better. But we're moving into the final week of the season. There are no Thursday night games, so the only thing I'll go ahead with any advantages of any type are the Cowboys and Titans coming off of extra rest over other teams. These are all within conference games. Some of these, I believe, all of these should be within division as well. Yeah, looks like it's shaped that way. So yeah, for first part we got the Cowboys who need a victory to have a chance to get in the playoffs, and they get that indeed as they beat the Commanders. And the Titans, with their few days of extra rest, are going to be going ahead and uh, who are they going against actually? Oh, they're going to Jacksonville, and they managed to get themselves a win here, and that might actually cement their place, uh, winning the division. Now, like I said already, there are no primetime games, I believe, at this point. I think these are all at the same slots, if I recall how this is going to turn out. So we can just go over these as they're ordered down here and kind of like look at the rest of the stuff. Alright, I don't think the Chiefs will be playing any of their starters if things line up this way. They got a playoff position, and that's okay with them. They're okay with whatever. The Raiders will just be wanting to get a winning record. So I give that victory to the Raiders. Chargers at Broncos. The Chargers do have something to play for, but the Broncos do as well because they might. And let's just see like the boy. Yeah, the Broncos could lose their playoff positioning if they lose this game. And I think that desperation is enough to get them over the top and get them a victory right here. Which means the Browns would have no chance of getting to the playoffs regardless, but they still managed to finish their season with a victory and are going to be just outside of the playoffs despite having a 10-7 record. On the other side of things, the so all right, the Ravens can't necessarily lose their playoff positioning, even if the Bills got a victory right here. So they'll go ahead and let themselves rest up, and the Bengals can go ahead and get themselves a victory right here. They'll be third place in their division, but have a winning record still. And the Ravens are just letting 2 weeks of preparation hold on to the number 1 seed as they go into the playoffs and will be having their starters well rested. Meanwhile, with the Bills and Patriots, the Bills are going to go ahead and just still well, if they lose, they aren't number 2 seed anymore, but they will be playing as if they need the victory no matter what, so they'll take the victory right here over the Patriots and get a 14-3 record at the end. Alright, our last bits are going to be the... Oh, can Indianapolis even get a... Wow. Indianapolis gets the victory over here with an 11-6 record as well against the Texans, who are not a good team. That's enough for them. The Dolphins secure a winning record against the Jets. And now on the NFC side of things, we got the Cardinals versus the 49ers. The 49ers are also going to be playing for a number 1 seed for things, but the Cardinals want that winning record. And they get to play spoiler in this regard and take that. On the same side of things, we're going to go ahead and get the Rams, who nab first place in their division at the same time as they beat up on the Seahawks, who are the worst team in their conference, most likely. Actually, it looks like they might be the worst team in the league. Alright, after that we got the Lions, who are going against the Packers. The Packers won, but Eagles lost. How does that shape? The Packers will get the number 1 seed, so the Packers will fight for that win, still go full force and get it. You have the Vikings versus the Bears. I believe the Vikings will go ahead and take the victory away right here. They'll try to get themselves their spots into the playoffs. When you come to the Panthers and the Saints, I think the Saints have more fight to them and do better and get a win here as well. Giants and Eagles. Eagles need to keep their number 1 seed, and luckily they're hosting a bad divisional opponent, and so they go ahead and get a victory maintained right here. For the last game of the season, you have the Buccaneers versus the Falcons, and even though the Buccaneers are probably going to be sitting their starters, they still manage a victory right over here. And with that, that is the end of the regular season. Seeing as there's still plenty of time left, I'm okay with actually going on to my predictions for the playoffs if things are to be shaped like this. Now, as a reminder, our teams that make it into the playoffs according to these predictions are from 1 to 7 on the AFC side: Ravens, Bills, Chargers, Titans, Chiefs, Broncos, and Colts. We do see some new faces right here. We got the Ravens at number 1 seed. They weren't even in the playoffs last year because of injuries, I believe. Chargers weren't in the playoffs, and the Colts. I don't think the Colts were in the playoffs, and the Broncos weren't either, so you got some new faces there. On the NFC side of things, you got from 1 to 7 the Eagles, who weren't in the playoffs, Packers, Rams, Buccaneers, 49ers, Vikings, who weren't in, and the Cardinals. So a lot of new faces, but a couple of new ones, so we got a good rotation still going on overall. Yeah, at the end of the season as well, other teams' records and the AFC North, you got the Browns at 10-7, Bengals 9-8, Steelers 7-10. AFC East, Dolphins are 9-8, Patriots 7-10, Jets 3-14. The AFC, the Raiders are outside of AFC West. Raiders are outside of playoffs at 9-8. Every team in the AFC West has a winning record. Wow, and 3 of them are in the playoffs with this. In the AFC South, Jaguars have a 6-11 record, and the Texans are 2-15. For the NFC East teams that didn't make in the playoffs, the Cowboys are at 9-8. Commanders at 4-13, and Giants at 3-14. Teams that are making into the playoffs for the NFC North are the Lions at 8-9, vast improvement from last year. Good for you. Bears are 3-14. The team that didn't make it from the NFC West, NFC West is the Seahawks at 2-15. By far the worst team in their division. And then the NFC South, you see it really is just Tampa Bay and no one else, because the Saints are 7-10, Panthers 4-13, and Falcons 2-15 with the number 1 pick in the draft, getting ready to pick either CJ Stroud or Bryce Young. And the Seahawks going to be taking the other. Oh, no, Pete Carroll is still there. He's going to be picking Will Anderson from Alabama. And then Texans will pick the other quarterback. Anywho, now we're going to go into the wild card round now for the predictions right here. On the AFC side of things, we got the Chiefs hosting the Tennessee Titans. Alright, at this point, I don't feel like the Titans are actually the better team. I think Kansas City could get the victory over them. For the other one, you have the Broncos hosting the Chargers. So 3 high-level teams with really good quarterbacks and really good rosters overall. I think the team that wins is going to be the one that we know more about, just because I don't really know too much about the Broncos. So I think Chargers get the win right here, and we have the Colts going to Buffalo. And unfortunately for Indianapolis, despite getting into the playoffs, you can't carry on through. and Buffalo gets the victory. On the NFC side of things, the 49ers are going to be hosting Tom Brady for maybe for probably his last season. Maybe, who knows with him. And yeah, with this over here, we got a first-time quarterback going into their going into a playoff game. Quarterback going to the playoffs for the first time. We already got the Chargers making their victory over there, but this is gonna be hard for Trey Lance, and I don't know if he's quite gonna be ready for it, despite giving the 49ers one of the best records in the NFL, and Tampa Bay managed to get the victory over them because they actually were able to rest their starters and feel better about things. Next up, we have the Vikings going against the LA Rams, and this is a Rams victory for sure. Cardinals managed to make it into the playoffs because of the big push to get at the end of the season, thanks to getting Hopkins back and able to do more if they want to do, but they're hitting their wall again here as the Green Bay Packers carry the victory at this point. Now into the divisional round, we have the Chargers going to visit the Bills. And this will be a tough game. Again, these are playoff teams. It's always going to be damn good rosters with damn good quarterbacks with damn good coaches. You can't really expect anything else for the most part. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and with this. And that's a tough one to say. I actually stick with the Chargers being the one that carries us on through. They are a visiting team, and that's always tough when it comes to the playoffs. But I think they're able to come on, and despite possibly being a 1-point underdog, manage to get the victory right here. Whereas with the Chiefs going to Baltimore, I think Lamar carries the victory over here. They're better rested, better prepared, and able to kick some ass. Next up, we have the LA Rams going over to Green Bay. And I think this is a game where Aaron Rodgers can't really get over like the high talents of the Rams, just because like he needed a Devontae Adams type of player. Now we're gonna go with the Buccaneers going over to Philadelphia. And I think this is gonna be a game where the Buccaneers also win. It's a shocker of a playoffs, but for the NFC, it is the away teams that actually managed to get a victory. Now, the Packers and Rams are actually just as good as each other, looking at their records. So I'm okay with that. And while the Eagles got the number 1 seed and more rest, Tampa Bay has the better quarterback, and that is typically the better deciding factor when it comes to the actual playoff games. I think that's enough to carry Tampa Bay to go ahead and make their way back into the conference championship round. And speaking of which, we have that going on right now with the Chargers going ahead with the going to Baltimore, and on the other side of things, there's Tampa Bay going over into LA. All right, the advantages and disadvantages that either team can have with the other. With the Rams, Rams and Baltimore are both not Rams, Baltimore. Chargers and Ravens are both teams run by very smart, analytically heavy front offices, as well as coaches that are very into the analytics of things. Highly talented quarterbacks, one of whom will be hearing their name getting the MVP trophy at the end of before the Super Bowl. And at this point as well, we're going to go ahead and see. Both games. I think the deciding factor right here is that the Ravens are still kind of like not quite able to pressure, do enough for pressure, and that the Chargers are able to go ahead and not necessarily contain Lamar Jackson, but do enough to work with whatever he's able to do against their defense. Whereas the Chargers also don't really have to worry too much about the Ravens' passing game and just not kind of like get an advantage in that spot. And that's how they get the victory right here. On the other side of things, Tampa Bay is the has the by far better quarterback, the GOAT of quarterbacks. But that's a team with a new head coach, some missing players. I don't know if they're able to go ahead and match up to the sheer talent that is on the LA Rams. So I think I don't trust this too much. I'm definitely going to need other opinions on this, but I think we are indeed going with the Battle of LA to be our Super Bowl, and I think it's going to go the same way it did the like a month and a half before this game would take place in early February, the second week of February, I believe. And that Justin Herbert and the LA Chargers are the ones that actually waste the Lombardi at the end of the year. Alright, now that we got this going ahead, we can look at the draft order to see how this all shakes up with this. Oh, that's just the playoff seeding. Alright, for our draft order, the Falcons, Seahawks, Texans, then Giants, Bears, Jets, Commanders, Panthers, Jaguars, Saints, Patriots, Steelers, Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Bengals, Raiders, Browns, Cardinals, Vikings, Colts, Titans, Broncos, 49ers, Chiefs, Packers, Eagles, Bills, Buccaneers, Ravens, Rams, and Chargers. Alright, so we got some teams in the top 10 that are definitely looking for new quarterbacks, and we'll be able to find some. Jacksonville with another top 10 pick. Good for you. Jets with another top 10 pick as well. Good for you. But yeah, that's a bit rough going for some of these teams. Let's go ahead and also now look at the seeded win totals and see how my predictions match up to what's expected with Vegas. Let's go ahead and start alphabetically as well here. With the Arizona Cardinals, who have an over-under of 8.5 wins, we have them just over at 9. With the Atlanta Falcons, they had an over and under 4.5. We have them a bit under with only 2 wins the whole season. The Ravens well outperformed their over. They were only expected to win. They only have an over under of 9.5 games. They win 14 to make it to the conference championship. Okay, Buffalo Bills have an over-under of 11.5, and they managed to get over that as well, despite their rough start for the season. Pretty much going flawless the rest of the way. They do go flawless the rest of the way through. Wow. Alright, the Panthers have an over and under of 6.5 wins, and we have them at 4 wins instead. Pretty badly underperforming there. Bears also have a 6.5 over-under, with supposed to be an easy schedule of things, but unfortunately they only come away with 3 victories. The Bengals have an over/under of 9.5 wins, and they just hit the under at 9-8. The Browns, I don't know what their over/under is being changed to as of this moment. Unfortunately, I'm still not seeing anything there. Looks like it might be 8.5 or 9.5 itself, in which case they'll be pretty close, but get the over there. Alright, Dallas Cowboys have an over-under of 10.5, and they hit the under by not too far, only going 9-8. The Denver Broncos have an over-under of 10.5 wins, and they just hit the over as well, getting 11 wins in this prediction. The Detroit Lions have an over-under of 6.5, and they get the over as well, going 8-9. Congratulations to the Hard Knocks team. Packers over-under 10.5 wins. They hit the over as well with a 13-4 record and almost get the number 1 seed. Alright, Houston Texans over-under 4.5 wins, and they hit the under, going 2-15. Indianapolis Colts an over and under of 9.5, and they hit the over with an 11-6 record. Jacksonville Jaguars have an over-under of 6.5 wins, and we have them just hitting the under at 6. Kansas City Chiefs with 10.5 over under, and they just barely hit the over themselves and 11-6. Los Angeles Chargers have an over under of 10.5, and so do the Los Angeles Rams, and both of them exceed by going 13-4 and making it to the Super Bowl. All right, the Raiders have an over under of 8.5, and they just hit the over at 9. Miami Dolphins have an over under of 8.5, and they just hit the over at 9. Minnesota Vikings have an over under of 9.5, and they just hit the over at 10. Dang, I'm actually pretty close, coming up pretty close to Vegas expectations for the most part. I'm happy. I'm happy about this. That my quick hits on this is actually matching up to what a lot of experts say. For the most part. Okay, the Patriots over under is at 8.5, and they go under by a little bit at 7 wins. Saints have an over under of 8.5 as well, and they hit the under with a 7-win record themselves. The Giants have a over under of 7.5, and they vastly underperform by going 3-14 instead, but that is actually the usual for them over the last few years. And it really should only get better for them afterwards. The Jets have an over-under of 5.5 wins, and they unfortunately underperform, going 3. Philadelphia Eagles have an over-under of 9.5, and they massively outperform by not only getting 14 wins, but the number 1 seed, only to be defeated the first game into the playoffs. Alright, Pittsburgh Steelers have an over-under of 7.5, and they just hit the under, going 7 wins. And the 49ers have an over-under of 9.5 wins, and you can see that they managed to outperform expectations and go 12-5 themselves. The Seattle Seahawks have an over-under 5.5, and they pretty badly underperform. Alright, Buccaneers have an over-under of 11.5, and they just hit the over at 12. The Titans have an over-under of 9.5, and they kind of go, and it gets a little over by going 11-6. And for the last team, we have the Washington Commanders with an over-under of 7.5, and God, do they underperform, 4-13. Alright, so that's it for like the predictions when it comes to like records as well as the playoffs. Thank you for the jump scare there, Brian. Thank you very much. But I already said who I feel like at this point, let's look at NFL 2022 awards odds. Kind of like looking at the biggest ideas. Okay, for MVP, I feel like it'd be Justin Herbert at plus 900, and but although by all means Lamar Jackson would also be a great choice, but I feel like it'd be Justin Herbert who wins the MVP at this point. Offensive Player of the Year, who would be like essentially second place for MVP, because the MVP is just a quarterback award. Alright, at this point, let's look at the teams that have the best. Okay. I think Offensive Player of the Year will be Lamar Jackson. Just because it's treated as second place and runner-up for MVP in this case. That he plays on another extremely high elite level, so he gets to go ahead and get that. There are plenty of positional players that will be able to perform at a high level as well. In fact, I think Jonathan Taylor could still very well get it himself, but yeah, I think I picked the right one there. Okay, for Defensive Player of the Year, this will be a player that's definitely going to be seeing the being highlights a lot. It's going to be someone in a lot of primetime games, probably. Definitely gets more hype as the season goes along. That's how these things go. Myles Garrett will probably not win it again, just because of all the badness around the Browns right now. Right now he's the favorite, but I don't think he's gonna win. I think this is Aaron Donald might actually get this. Yeah, I think this is an Aaron Donald award, honestly. Alright, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Man, this is another tough one because there's not necessarily anyone that too exciting that I can think of. Gonna have to look at like the full list of things to try to find someone I like. I think George Pickens might be the favorite right here, just because he'll be the not necessarily put in the best position. It's the prestige of the Steelers will be enough to get people looking at him more. Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be George Pickens who wins the Offensive Rookie of the Year. For Defensive Rookie of... Even though a lot of people think Kyle Pickett, a different Steelers player, I think it'll be Pickens who wins that. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think this is Aiden Hutchinson's to lose. Especially with all the hype and happiness Detroit's getting, and how they'll probably overperform expectations. Yeah, I'm okay with saying it'll be going to Detroit's first pick in the draft. Alright, for Comeback Player of the Year. Alright, the CMC is healthy. He'll probably get it. This might act, but I think it'll be... And I feel like this could be like Matt Ryan's, because he'll be helping lead the Indianapolis Colts going into... Oh, does he even count? I don't know if he actually counts for this award, so I'm just gonna look at who's like the top like odds right now out of these. Okay, Derrick Henry, Winston, McCaffrey, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Michael Thomas, Mitch Trubisky, Chase Young, Marcus Mariota, J.K. Dobbins. I think it's J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins is the Comeback Player of the Year. All right, for the Coach of the Year, I think this is going to be Brandon Staley, because of him leading the Chargers into being one of the best teams in the league. Just he gets Coach of the Year, and Justin Herbert gets MVP. So yeah, I guess that's really it for my predictions. And all in total, going about 7.5 hours talking about the NFL season over a couple of days. Been a very fun experience trying to do this. One of those things that's definitely just for me. Thank everybody for going in and watching these things. But yeah, and short, the big thing is Chargers for the Battle of LA. The Chargers come out with the Super Bowl and all the goodness, unless they get cursed, unless the curse hits them. All right, that'll go ahead and be it for the stream, though. Thank everybody for going ahead and watching and listening to me kind of like ramble and say all this nonsense for now. Oh man, this is really fun. I want to do some more stuff like this. Oh, and by the way, there might be more NFL related stuff going on in the future for streams. Some good old previews that might be done. Previews, quotes, air quotes. Yeah, that'll be fun. Alright, thank you all again for watching and listening. This has been Conversation Kong, aka Nathan, going ahead and blabbing on for way too long. Have a wonderful evening and afternoon, everybody. And bye, YouTube.